Secret room behind a bookshelf brings us to number 10. I know what you guys must be thinking. This has to be a hoax, right? Wrong. This stuff actually happens in real life, believe it or not. And maybe you have a secret room in your house that's waiting to be discovered. So right now, go around your house, start breaking down walls. Okay, maybe not. Okay, let's get back into this. We have two brothers who are playing around in one of the rooms in their house when the little brother ran into the bookshelf and it opened up and it actually led them to a secret spiral staircase that led to another secret crawl space. Sounds cool, right? Well, think again. A stranger was apparently living in this room, and that's not all. That's not where this ends. The stranger must have snuck around the house and stolen items from them because there was empty wrappers from Halloween candy that was taken from one of the boys' rooms. Could you imagine having a creeper living in your house, tiptoeing around, maybe, you know, watching you as you sleep?
In our 9th spot, we have the Gates of Hell crater. Located in the Karakum Desert in Turkmenistan, there is this 230-foot wide hole that has been on fire for over 50 years. In fact, its glow can be seen from miles away. So the crater was actually created in 1971 when the Soviets were drilling in the area, but their drilling rig accidentally hit a massive underground natural gas cavern. This caused the ground to collapse, forming a huge crater and sinkhole. Now, here's the mystery. They don't know how the crater ignited in the first place, but it's been burning for nearly 50 years, even after people have tried to put the fire out. So it's thought that this area leads directly to hell. I mean, it's a fiery sinkhole. What if it just sucks you down and then brings you right to hell? Moving on to number 8, we have Helm. And I mean, the name itself literally has hell in it. Coincidence? I think not. Anyways, Helm is a small town near York, Pennsylvania, and legend goes that this location is home to one of the real 7 gates of hell. So according to the folklore, there is an abandoned insane asylum located on the outskirts of this town. In the 19th century, there was a fire at the asylum which killed some inmates and let the most dangerous inmates escape. Some were caught and then tortured or even killed. Others were trapped inside a series of gates, which they still haunt to this day. One of these gates is said to lead to hell. Over the years, this story has changed, but it's still believed that one of the gates is there in that town. In our 7th spot, we have Stull, Kansas. The small town of Stull in Kansas is another place said to have a gate to hell. First off, the town is rumored to be cursed. Apparently, it's been haunted by a number of demonic forces since the 1970s. Rumor has it that this is because the gate to hell is somewhere in that area. They think it's either in Stull Cemetery or by the United Methodist Church. Stull Cemetery, though, is said to be where people would go to practice occult rituals and contact Satan. In 1974, a newspaper wrote an article claiming that the devil was spotted twice in Stull that year. Once on Halloween and once on the spring equinox. That's why people started to believe that someone located and opened a gate to hell in the area, and now Satan has a way to get into our world. In fact, the town has to have 24-hour security because people like to jump the fence of that cemetery and explore the property looking for this gate or portal. In our 6th spot, we have the opening of the gate ritual. So apparently there's a ritual that you can perform in order to open a gate to hell. You know, in case it's ever been on your bucket list. According to occultist Astenu Sever, he performed this ritual in the past with some other occultists. He performed it on some historical grounds in the Balkans. He won't tell us the exact location though. And also, he said that they all took an oath so that they can't share what happened on that day. But he alludes to the fact that the ritual did work, and he even wrote a full article on how you can open a portal to hell yourself. Do I recommend you listen to him and try it? No, definitely not. He even shared a huge warning outlining all the risks of doing so. So let's just say it won't be pretty. But now there's a gate to hell somewhere out in Europe, and we don't really know where. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the family home portal. In 2008, Steph Harper, her husband Colin, and their 3 kids moved into a new home in North Wales. But as they started to settle in, they noticed something was off about their home. Shortly after moving in, they heard these weird banging noises and saw shadowy apparitions and stuff. You know, the typical paranormal stuff. But the biggest thing that her and her family noticed was that their house would smell of rotten flesh. Don't know how she knows what rotten flesh smells like, but that's besides the point. Smelling something rotten can be an indicator that your home is being haunted. After investigating, Steph believes that there is a portal to the spirit world in her lounge area in her house. She believes it was created before her house was built in the 1950s or 60s, but that's why her house has such a strong connection to the paranormal. Moving on to number 4, we have the Emerald Hill Hell House, otherwise known as the Demon House. This Pennsylvania house gets its name because of how haunted it is. Now, not much is known about it. It belongs to the McHugh family estate. The new owners of the house learned that the land that the mansion was built on was once a burial ground. So I mean, that right there is a bad sign. But wait, it gets worse. Sometime in the late 1860s, a woman named Carla arrived at the house. The house was given to her by her uncle who lived in Scotland. Sometime while living there, she decided to excavate some of the property. But while doing so, she found well over 70 unmarked graves. It said that when she unearthed these graves, she unleashed the evil on the land and opened a portal to hell. That's why the area is a hotbed for paranormal activity. Moving on to number 3, we have the portal opening incident. So apparently there's something called a portal opening ritual game where you can use a mirror to open a door to the spirit world. I don't know about you, but that does not sound like a game at all. Anyways, a guy named AJ decided, hey, let's try this out. Why not? What on earth could possibly go wrong? So he was visiting his grandma's farmhouse and was like, this is the perfect location. So he grabbed the supplies he needed, including a full-length mirror. He followed the ritual, but he was goofing around with it all and he didn't think it would actually work. Well, while goofing off, he accidentally broke the mirror. He never got to properly close the portal, and now that the mirror is broken, he can't close it at all. Ever since then, the spirits followed him home and his place is haunted. So what did we learn today, folks? Don't play this portal game, don't fool around with spiritual games, and lastly, don't buy cheap mirrors. In our second spot, we have the ocean on fire. Earlier this year, a fire started in an underwater pipeline in the middle of the ocean. The ocean was then literally on fire, which seems hella impossible, but it happened anyways. So the fire was caused by a gas leak from an underwater pipeline in the Gulf of Mexico. People began sharing images of the ocean on fire and were like, oh my god, it's a portal to hell. Not gonna lie, it really does look like one. I don't know about you, but I didn't have Portal to Hell on my 2021 bingo card. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the Crescent Hotel. The Crescent Hotel is referred to as the most haunted hotel in America. According to the legend, in 1937, Norman G. Baker, a millionaire inventor, turned a hotel into a hospital and posed as a doctor. He claimed that he had a cure for cancer. As a result, he began to treat patients despite having no proper training. This dude made up a weird mixture of alcohol, glycerin, carbolic acid, and he mixed it with tea from watermelon seeds and brown corn silk and clover leaves, and then he would give it to his patients, saying that this was the cure. As a result, many of the people he treated ended up dying. Over the years, many guests at this hotel have reported seeing ghosts and would experience paranormal activity. Then in 1997, the hotel's new owners decided to bring in a medium. The medium discovered that there is actually a portal to the spiritual world inside this hotel. Apparently it's located on top of what used to be the morgue. The medium said that, and I quote, "The dimension holds spirits of the dead." So, it sounds like hell to me.
Starting off at number 10 now, we have the abortion clinic. We are beginning now with a really intense one, so I hope you are all ready. I have warned you. In 2012, it was reported that workers on a house in Missouri discovered a secret basement which used to be an illegal abortion clinic. The workmen found 2 human fetuses stored in jars there. They were protected by ceramic containers and covered with a cloth beneath an old medical examining table. The owner didn't seem to be surprised, as he had heard rumors from his parents that the house was being used as an illegal abortion clinic back in the 1950s. Police were called to decide on what to do with the fetuses, but they said they would not be investigating any further. If that sounds like a very strange discovery, we are only just getting started.
Creepy religious room is in at number 9 on our list. A family made a shocking discovery when they decided to find out what was hiding underneath a large metal grate that was in the middle of their hallway. After removing the crate, they found a hole that was just big enough for them to squeeze through. I'm pretty sure a small hole in the ground would be enough for me to not squeeze through it, but for me to, walk away. But not for this family for some reason. Once they made it down the creepy shaft, they were in a small pitch black cellar that looked like it could have been a chapel. In the middle of the room, there was an old wooden cross that was slowly rotting away, and there were also hooks hanging from the ceiling, which could have been used to hang a meat. So yeah, I'm naturally confused here. Was this a secret chapel, or maybe was it a kill room? I have no desire to find out what really went on in this cellar, so you know what? I think it's time that we move on. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's see what we have next. And well, we're at number 8 right now. Number 8, behind the walls. A family decided to put an offer on their dream home in Pennsylvania after the home inspection proved that it was a solid house. But the home inspector missed one huge detail. He failed to look at the walls and the strange thing that was hiding inside of them. The family wanted to add better insulation into one of the rooms, so they opened up the walls and they found a dark secret. They found some Old Spice cans and newspapers that dated back to like 30s or 40s, but that's not where the weird part of the story is. Those newspapers were covering bones from animal corpses. After they tore up the rest of the walls, the smell became unbearable, and the more they tried to fix it, the worse that it actually got. The family got very sick from the dead animals inside of their house, and they had to spend thousands of dollars trying to get rid of the animal bones. I mean, what happened and who put these bones in the wall? World War II hidden room comes in at number 7. A Reddit user from Norway posted some pretty disturbing pictures of a hidden room that he discovered in the attic of his house. Apparently his landlord told him that the house had a hidden room, but he was extremely vague on, where it was. So instead of working or being productive, the renter thought that it would be a good idea to go exploring, be Dora the Explorer. Well, he accidentally found the room when he kicked a wall in the attic. And inside of this dark secret room was a sign that read, "If you have a bad stomach, then you don't have access." I mean, what the heck does that mean? I don't have a good stomach. I'd get the heck out of there. Why do I need a strong stomach? What is about to happen? Was he about to die? There was also a lamp alarm that was used to warn people nearby when someone came into the room, and there was an old map of Western Europe. Oh, and also they found an old doll shoe that looked like it came straight out of a horror movie. I'd say you're better off boarding up that wall and forgetting this wall or this experience ever existed. The real-life Dexter room slices its way into number 6. A man was extremely surprised when he discovered a small passageway in his attic that was blocked by a locked door. Locked doors for me mean I'm not going to enter. It means I'm not that curious. Well, obviously this made this person curious, and he decided to burst open the padlock to see what was hiding behind this door. Why do people do this? Well, he probably should have called his realtor and put the house back on the market, because what he found was actually pretty terrifying. Once he crawled through the tiny space, busted open the lock, and opened the door, he found a soundproofed room covered in plastic with a platform in the middle and a suitcase. I can only imagine what went on in this room. Inside of the suitcase there was jewelry and several black tapes that had "No, no, no" and "Save yourself" written on them. He handed the tapes over to the police, and I guess we'll never know what are on those tapes, but I'm sure we can all take a few wild guesses. Maybe this was the real-life Dexter house. And I'm not talking about Dexter, what is it called, Dexter's Laboratory. I'm not talking about it was his house. I'm talking about the guy that murdered people. Peephole staircase brings us to number 5. Two people were house hunting when they stumbled across this extremely terrifying discovery. They made their way down a flight of rickety old stairs into the basement, and they were pretty disturbed. Behind the stairs, they found an area that looked like it was being used as a bedroom, of some sort. On the back of the stairs, there were creepy and disturbing messages written on the walls. Some of the notes said, "No watching Isaiah through the hole," and "Stop watching me," and also, "Is this real life right now?" Okay, that's something that I would write on the wall. I don't think they saw that on the wall. If they did, that's pretty cool. Well, what's going on here? When they looked even closer, they saw that there were small peepholes carved out of the stairs, so whoever was locked away in this room was able to see out. This is way too sinister for me, and I just want to forget the existence of this, so let's move on. A secret roommate jumps onto our list at number 4. A secret roommate? Well, a group of students from Ohio made a shocking discovery when they found out that a man had been living in a secret room in their house. And you know what? He wasn't even paying rent. Well, that's probably one of the scariest things that could happen to you when you move into a new home. Make sure the new home is empty first. At first, the students thought that they were being haunted by a ghost because their cupboards were always left open and they heard strange noises. But as it turns out, the ghost was actually a real person, and the truth was way more terrifying. After they extensively searched the house, they discovered a room in the basement behind a door that led to a secret room. Inside, they found a double bed, a student's textbooks, and pictures. I guess college is really expensive because this guy was living rent-free for a very long time. The student quickly changed the locks and left a note for their unwanted roommate, telling him that he couldn't live there anymore. If it was me, I'd probably leave a note saying $800, please. And then you can stay in that secret room and I won't tell anybody. We don't have to get the police involved. A terrifying hideout takes us to number 3. An HVAC worker was doing some renovations on a house when he suddenly discovered a secret room in the attic of the garage. He realized that a piece of the wall didn't look like it belonged. So he pushed on it, which turned out to be a hidden room. Inside, there were air vents, stained wood walls, carpeted floors, cable hookups, electrical outlets, and even a makeshift bathroom. There were some personal items thrown around the room and 2 license plates hung on the wall. At first, he thought that someone was kept against their will, but the lock was on the inside, not the outside. So that takes that theory out the window. So this room was meant to keep people out. I don't know what is more terrifying. Well, as it turns out, this house used to belong to a man named RJ and his mother D.D. Moore, also known as the Lottery Killer. She was convicted of murdering a man who won the lottery back in 2012. So maybe this is her secret room that she wanted to use to hide from the police. Number 2, the secret prison cell. Christian Perez has been working as a home inspector in Tampa, Florida for many years. And during his career, he has stumbled across lots of secret and hidden rooms. But he will never forget what he found years ago during one of his inspections. Whenever he thinks about it, he still gets the chills down his spine. He found a small dark room that was tucked behind a wall in the attic. It had a small bed, a strange map of a city, and also tons of empty food cans, so clearly someone's been living there. The homeowners who had been living in the house for the past 25 years, well, they said that they never even knew that this room existed. So could it be plausible that someone lived there for the past 25 years? During an investigation, no one was able to come up with a definitive answer for what this room was used for. But they speculate that someone might have been held captive there. And this is why you should always have a home inspection before buying. And I'm thinking we go one small step forward, and anytime you buy a house, I think you should just gut it. The Murder Castle tops this list at number 1. One of the most notorious buildings that was full of secret rooms was the Chicago Murder Castle, which was designed by the infamous serial killer H.H. Holmes. The entire building was posed as a hotel, but in reality, it was a maze full of secret kill rooms with winding passageways, trapdoors, chutes, and dungeons that was full of acid vats and other torturous devices. When it was being built, he hired construction workers, and then he killed them so no one had any idea what was going on. He killed the people that designed the room, so now no one knows about it. The building had its very own crematorium so that he can use to, dispose of his victims' bodies in secret. This has to be one of the most scariest things I've ever heard of. I wonder if there are other buildings like this in the world, and I'm willing to say that there probably are. I mean, this guy probably inspired a lot of other people, which is crazy to say.
Starting off this countdown, we have Blue Ash, Ohio. According to an urban legend, there's a portal to hell in Blue Ash, Ohio. It's been given the name Satan's Hollow, and it's the place where a group of Satanists like to meet and conduct rituals there. Satan's Hollow is located in the woods near a storm drain. A number of residents have reported hearing screams from that tunnel at night. Maybe it's from the people being sacrificed there for Satan himself. So yeah, this group allegedly opened a portal to hell and go there whenever they can to make contact with Satan and perform satanic rituals for him.
Moving on to number 9 now, we have Joshua's room. A pair of house hunters in America were seriously disturbed by what they found in the basement of one house they were looking at. There were strange lookout holes in the stairs coming from the basement below. When they went down to the basement, they found graffiti written for what seemed to be a little boy called Joshua. The walls were covered with messages like, "Josh, stop reading this and go to bed. Mom." Another read, "Josh's rules. 1. No watching Isaiah through the hole, and 2. No writing or drawing on the walls." Another simply said, "Don't climb into my room, Isaiah." But for me, the most creepy one was, "Stop watching me. Who were Joshua and Isaiah? Why were they living in the basement? And who was watching them? People still discuss this story even today. At number 8 now we have the Gargoyle. In 2014, IMG user Hickensource shared their discovery of a secret room in their house. They said they were walking around their house one day when they noticed a window for a room they didn't even know existed. It looked like a cellar. Inside there was a workbench fastened to the wall. Then he found a wall panel cut which he peeled back to reveal a door behind the workbench. Through that door laid a creepy looking room filled with junk. There were newspapers from the 1970s, old playing cards, a strange looking machine, and perhaps creepiest of all, an old gargoyle surrounded by broken bits of wood. Gargoyles are pretty creepy, even on a good day. Extra creepy when you find them in a secret room under your house. No thanks. At number 7 now we have the Squatter. This one comes from IMG user 2Byte Brownie, who shared pictures of a creepy discovery in his house. He said he and his younger brother were playing around one day when one of them fell into a bookcase. It moved, revealing a hidden room behind it. They found a black staircase that spiraled downwards. By this point they were already very freaked out. About halfway down they found a crawl space, and to their absolute horror it looked like someone had been living there. There was a makeshift bed covered in their own Halloween candy. They realized that whoever was living there must have crawled into their bedroom when they weren't there to steal candy from them before retreating back to their hiding spot behind the bookshelf. I think at that point I'd either be running out the front door or just jumping straight out the window. Moving on to number 6 now, we have Black Mould. Jason and Kerry Brown were a couple from South Carolina who were renovating their new home in 2005. They began to remove some bookcases in one of the bedrooms when they discovered a hidden passageway that led to a hidden room. Nervously, they walked down the dark corridor, and there, in the very small room at the end, they found a mysterious note from the previous owner. It read, "You found it. Hello. If you're reading this, then you found the secret room. I owned this house for a short while and it was discovered to have a serious mold problem, one that actually made my children very sick to the point we had to move out." Kerry and Johnson were naturally very shocked by this. They eventually made contact with the previous owner, who went into more detail about that situation. After some tests on the house, they found that it was true. The house had levels of black mold 4 to 5 times higher than the outside, potentially dangerous for young children. It seems that the house broker may have hid this information when selling them the house. Perhaps they should be thankful to the stranger and their slightly creepy note. Moving on to number 5 now, we have Bad Stomach. In 2013, some Norwegian students said their landlord told them there was a secret room somewhere in their house, but not where it was. That's creepy enough, but they actually found it and they took these pictures. One of them said it took them a long time to discover it and said that it was actually found by accident when one of them was in the attic and just kind of stretched out. Suddenly, the wall behind them moved. Behind it, they found a tiny area filled with items from World War II. There was a mysterious sign that read, "If you have a bad stomach, you do not have access." There was also an alarm made of a single light bulb, an old map of Europe, and perhaps the most creepy object of all, a single white doll shoe. It was all quite a mystery until they were visited by some local historians who saw the post online. It turns out the room was used to secretly make newspapers during the Nazi occupation in World War II. Although they tried, the Nazis never actually found that room. All they needed to do was just stretch and push the wall. Simple. Next up at number 4 now, we have the Crawlspace. This one is a very small room. Very small indeed. Only enough room to crawl in. It was discovered in 2014 by Reddit user Lumberjack. He posted a picture to Reddit and what he discovered so far in it. The Crawlspace contained a strange looking locked door. Now through that door there was a room where the walls, floor and ceiling were totally covered in soundproofing boards and a plastic tarp. There were also 4 power outlets and a small area that looked like a raised single bed. The creepiest part was yet to come though. He found a briefcase. Inside that was an old jewelry box, envelopes with currency from all over the world, and 4 1-ounce silver ingots. There was also a safe containing some old tapes. He couldn't play them though, and so decided to hand everything over to the police at that point. They refused to reveal the results of their investigation, sparking fierce debate about what this creepy room was all about. My guess is spies. It's gotta be spies. What do you guys think? At number 3 now, we have The Stranger. This is another squatter story. In 2013, Brett Muglin and Mark Hartman moved into their new off-campus house for their senior year at Ohio State University. After a few days in their new home, they woke one morning and found every door in their house had been opened. Everything. Room doors, the dishwasher door, the fridge dryer, washing machine, oven and microwave, all of them had their doors open. At first they thought it was just a college prank, but one day they heard noises noises coming from downstairs. They grabbed a baseball bat and a knife and went to investigate. When they reached the basement, they found a locked door no one had a key to, and there were sounds coming from inside. A few days later, one of their friends who was visiting said that they had met their new housemate Jeremy in the basement. Brett and Mark just froze and said, "We don't have a housemate called Jeremy." At that point, they called the landlord and the police, who went straight to that mysterious door. They prized open the door to find a secret room that a man had been living in the whole time they were there. There were pictures of him with his friends and family by the bed. The bed itself was unmade and there were books everywhere. The room even included a toilet and a bathroom. He had been using a secret side door to sneak in and out of the house. It turns out the man's cousin had lived in the house the year before, and when they all left, he just set up in this secret basement room. I wonder how long he was planning on staying for. Next up at number 2 now we have The Last Supper. In Hanny's restaurant and bar there is a secret room you can visit if you know where to look. You may not want to though. Deep in this basement in Arizona you can find these dolls on display. At first it looks like they've been randomly placed, but on closer inspection the dolls seem to be set up to mimic the famous painting of The Last Supper. I presume the doll in the middle is meant to be Jesus. Either way, it's a very creepy sight to see, even if you are expecting it. If you just stumbled across it while you're looking for the bathroom, well, it's probably a good job you're already on the way to the toilet. And finally, number 1 now we have Peter Pan. In 2010, 2 women clearing out an abandoned basement in an old building in LA made a very gruesome discovery. They found the bodies of 2 babies from the 1930s. The bodies were wrapped in sheets and hidden in 2 doctor's bags along with some crumpled 1930s newspapers and other belongings. The trunk had the name J.M. Barrie on it. Now she was a nurse from Scotland. She had the same initials as James M. Barrie, the Scottish author of Peter Pan. Yeah, the Peter Pan. What's strange though is that there appears to be no connection between the 2 of them. A copy of Peter Pan and membership papers for the Peter Pan Woodland Club Resort were also included in those findings. Coroners said there were no signs of trauma on the babies or that they had been aborted. One had reached full term while the other was much smaller and could have been born prematurely. This mysterious and grisly case is still ongoing and many people online have taken it upon themselves to solve this mystery.